It started with a sound nobody could explain. Deep inside a mountain, far below the surface where sunlight had never reached, a low rumble echoed through the tunnel. At first, the workers thought it was just another shift, another day of drilling rock and fighting dust. But then the ground beneath their feet began to tremble, slowly at first, and then violently. Machines shut down, lights flickered, and within seconds, the tunnel that was supposed to be a masterpiece of human engineering turned into a trap. Men ran, some screamed, others froze, because in that moment they all realized the same terrifying truth. This wasn't just construction anymore. This was survival. And what nobody expected was this tunnel would push engineers to their absolute limits, mentally, physically, and emotionally, until many of them almost walked away forever. But how did it get this bad? To understand that, we have to go back to where it all began. Years before that terrifying moment, the idea of building this tunnel sounded almost heroic. It was supposed to connect two major regions, reduce travel time, and solve a problem that had existed for generations. For decades, people had struggled to cross this dangerous mountain range. Roads were narrow, weather conditions unpredictable, and accidents were far too common. In winter, heavy snow blocked paths for weeks. In summer, landslides would destroy entire routes in seconds. People risked their lives just to get from one side to the other. So when the plan for a massive underground tunnel was announced, it felt like hope. Finally, there would be a safe passage, a modern solution to an ancient problem. At least, that's what everyone believed. Engineers from around the world were brought in, the best minds, the most experienced teams. Advanced machines were designed specifically for this project. Everything was calculated down to the smallest detail. On paper, it looked perfect. But nature doesn't follow paper plans, and deep beneath that mountain, something was waiting. At first, the project moved smoothly. Drilling machines carved through layers of rock, slowly making progress day by day. Workers adapted to the underground environment, long hours, constant noise, and the heavy pressure of being so far below the surface. But then things started to change. The temperature began to rise, not gradually, but suddenly. What should have been a manageable working environment turned into something unbearable. Inside the tunnel, heat built up to extreme levels. Sweat soaked through clothes within minutes. Breathing became harder. Even standing still felt exhausting. Workers could no longer stay underground for long periods. Shifts had to be shortened. Cooling systems were installed, but they struggled to keep up. And just when the team thought they were dealing with the worst of it, the mountain revealed another secret: water. But not just ordinary water. This was pressurized water, trapped deep inside the rock for thousands of years. And when the drilling machines hit those hidden pockets, it didn't flow gently. It exploded, like a burst dam. High-pressure jets of water shot into the tunnel with such force that they could cut through equipment, even injure workers instantly. Entire sections of the tunnel flooded within minutes. Panic spread quickly, because now it wasn't just heat they were fighting. It was something unpredictable, something violent. But here's the twist. This was still just the beginning. As the tunnel extended deeper, the real enemy started to show itself: pressure. The deeper they went, the heavier the mountain became above them. Imagine millions of tons of rock pressing down every second without pause. The tunnel walls began to crack. Small fractures appeared, then grew larger. Sometimes, without any warning, rocks would collapse from the ceiling. Nobody knew when it might happen. One moment they were operating machines, the next they were running for their lives.
To control this, engineers tried everything: reinforced concrete linings, steel supports, new drilling techniques. Every solution bought them time, but never complete safety. And slowly, something began to change among the team. Fear. Not loud, not obvious, but quiet and constant. Workers started to hesitate before entering the tunnel. Conversations became shorter, jokes disappeared. Everyone was thinking the same thing, but no one wanted to say it out loud. Is this worth it? Because every shift felt like a risk, every day felt like a gamble. And then came the moment that nearly ended everything. One day, as a drilling team pushed forward into a new section, their machine suddenly broke through into a massive, hidden cavity. For a split second, there was silence, and then chaos. A powerful surge of water and mud blasted into the tunnel with unstoppable force. It wasn't just a leak, it was a flood, a violent, uncontrollable flood that filled the space faster than anyone could react. Workers were knocked off their feet, equipment was swept away, lights went out. Inside that darkness, survival became instinct. Some managed to escape, others barely made it out. And when the situation was finally under control, the damage was clear.
This wasn't just a setback. This was a warning. A loud, undeniable warning that the mountain was not going to give up easily. After that incident, everything changed. Meetings became more intense. Engineers argued. Safety teams raised serious concerns. Some experts even suggested stopping the project completely. Think about that. After years of planning, millions already spent, countless hours of work, they were considering walking away. Because for the first time, even the most experienced engineers started to doubt themselves. What if this tunnel was simply impossible? What if no technology could handle these conditions? And what if continuing meant risking more lives? The pressure wasn't just underground anymore. It was everywhere. Decisions had to be made, and fast. But what nobody expected was they didn't quit. Instead, they adapted. Engineers began studying the mountain in ways they never had before. Every layer of rock was analyzed. Every drop of water was tracked. New technologies were developed not just to continue the project, but to survive it. One of the most critical changes involved controlling the water. Instead of fighting it directly, they found a way to freeze it. Yes, freeze it. Before drilling into dangerous sections, engineers inserted special pipes into the rock. Through these pipes, extremely cold liquid was circulated for weeks, sometimes months. Slowly, the water inside the rock froze solid. What was once a violent, uncontrollable force became stable, and only then did the drilling continue. It was slow, painfully slow, but it worked. At the same time, advanced cooling systems were installed to deal with the extreme heat. Fresh air was pumped into the tunnel constantly. Workers were given shorter shifts, more protection, and better training. Step by step, they moved forward again. But the danger never disappeared. It was always there, waiting. Every meter gained felt like a victory. Every safe shift felt like luck. And after years of struggle, exhaustion, and near failure, the tunnel was finally completed. But the story doesn't end there, because building the tunnel was only half the battle. Once it was ready, a new challenge appeared. Something invisible, yet just as dangerous. Air. When high-speed trains travel through long tunnels, they push air forward like a massive wave. In a confined space, this creates intense pressure, enough to shatter windows or damage the tunnel itself. If this problem wasn't solved, everything they had built could be destroyed in seconds. So engineers designed a system of multiple tunnel paths and ventilation shafts. These allowed the air to move freely, reducing the pressure and making travel safe. It was a solution that required incredible precision, because after everything they had been through, failure was not an option. But beyond the engineering, beyond the technology, there's something deeper about this story: the human cost. Workers who spent years underground away from their families, men who faced fear every single day but still showed up for work, some who didn't make it back home. Their sacrifices are part of this tunnel. Their stories are hidden within its walls. And even today, when trains pass through safely, most people don't think about what it took to make that possible. They don't feel the heat. They don't hear the rumble. They don't see the moments when everything almost collapsed. But those moments were real, and they changed everyone involved. In the end, this tunnel became more than just a path through a mountain. It became a symbol of how far humans are willing to go to overcome the impossible. But it also stands as a reminder that nature doesn't care about our plans. It doesn't care about our deadlines. And sometimes it pushes back harder than we ever expect. So the next time you hear about a massive engineering project, something that seems incredible, remember this story. Because behind every success, there are moments of fear, moments of doubt, and moments where everything nearly falls apart. And maybe the most powerful truth of all is this: the difference between failure and success isn't always skill or technology. Sometimes it's simply the decision to not give up, even when everything tells you to.